Hey guys, good to see you. I'm back and I am wearing a winter coat. And that is because it does get cold. It's cold in my apartment. It does get cold in Southern California. It can reach temperatures of 50 degrees, sometimes 46. It snowed. It snowed like 3 years ago. It does get cold in Southern California. And I lived in Colorado and I walked to school in a blizzard. Okay, I did. I literally did walk to school in a blizzard, and I sometimes think California's colder. I want to talk about something that's very interesting to me, has been for a while, but I've been thinking about it lately. That is future-proof signs. It is also called long-term nuclear waste warning messages. Now, it's kind of what it sounds like. It is a future-proof sign. They are communication attempts intended to deter and stop humans from entering and settling in nuclear waste repositories in the future, okay? Over 10,000 years from now, these signs have to last 10,000 years or more for it to be a future-proof sign. So you're like, oh, make a sign. Make a sign that says radioactive. Make a sign with the radioactive symbol on it. Okay, use your brain. In 10,000 years, that symbol might not mean nuclear waste. It might not mean anything. Write it down. The written language might not survive. It might not survive, okay? People might not be able to read any of the languages we have now in the future. So that doesn't work. So you need to get creative here. These messages have 4 levels of increasing complexity. Okay, the first one is rudimentary. So it's something man-made is here. That's the first thing you have to convey. The second one is something man-made is here and it's dangerous. That's the first 2 levels. Then you can explain the basic, which is what, why, when, where, who, and how. Okay, now it gets really, really complex. Then the last one is the most complex, and it's highly detailed map, text, graphs, information about what happened here and why they can't go in here. So in lieu of just like signs that have a radioactive warning on them, people have theorized a lot about what else they could use as a future-proof sign. Basically, what you want to do is scare the future humans. You want to make sure that they know that there's danger there. So one way to do that is through hostile architecture. So you could have what's called a landscape of thorns, which is literally a bunch of thorns sticking out of the ground around the site. And that would look scary, and maybe people would be scared and they wouldn't go there. You could add like a spike field of sorts. You could also have what's called a black hole, which is a massive slab of black like concrete to indicate not to go in there. And this is all, it just gets very abstract and weird. It relies a lot on hoping that they figure it out. One way to do this that's not physical is atomic priesthood. This is, I'm going to read this off, okay? This is a panel of experts where members would be replaced through nominations by a council, similar to the Catholic Church, which has preserved and authorized its message for almost 2,000 years. The atomic priesthood would have to preserve the knowledge about locations and dangers of radioactive waste by creating rituals and myths. The priesthood would indicate off-limits areas and the consequences of disobedience, right? So basically, one way to do this would be to make an entire religion devoted to the myth of nuclear waste locations and why not to go in there. So you're kind of, you're making it fake so that it becomes real, right? You're making it into a story so that it lasts forever, because stories are future-proof. They really are. If you think about it, that is a future-proof sign, is a story, like cave paintings. Cave paintings are future-proof. They're telling a story. Songs are stories. They're future-proofs. They get passed down through generations. Story and myth is a great way to preserve knowledge. This is the best one. Somebody's great idea for a future-proof sign would be to breed radiation cats, as they're called. Cats have been with humans for a really, really long time, and there's not really any reason why they would stop hanging out with us anytime soon. So they wanted to breed cats so that the color of them of the cats would change when they got near radioactive activity. So that would convey to humans where not to go, is the cats next to them would glow. This one also goes back to mythology, because obviously you can't just breed cats that glow and like hope people will figure it out. You would have to invent myth about that. You would have to put that into the collective consciousness. You'd have to tell stories. One way to do that was they wrote a song called 10,000 Year Earworm to discourage settlement near nuclear waste repositories, parentheses, don't change color kitty. It was designed to be so catchy and annoying that it might be handed down from generation to generation over a span of 10,000 years. So it's like, you could try that. Yeah, that'd be cool. Future-proof signs are just a really interesting concept and a little thought experiment. Like, try to think of one right now. And comment below. Like, subscribe, and comment below your idea for a future-proof sign. I was thinking how you wouldn't really need future-proof signs if you knew how to use telescopes to look into the past, because like the Hubble and the James Webb telescope, they can and do see back in time. But you'd have to be able to stand in a certain place at a certain distance in space to be able to see the past that you want to see. Have to be calculated in a way that I don't know exists yet. But maybe in the future they'll have some technology, or aliens will have some technology where they'll be able to look at a planet and look through its past. You can think about making humans future-proof by putting their brains into a computer, but like that's not really future-proof, because like computers do decompose. And then if you're talking about putting your brain into the internet, like the sharks will probably eat the undersea cables that the internet travels through at some point anyways, which is like just an interesting concept, that sharks are eating the undersea cables that the internet travels through. Like, for a metaphysical universe as expansive and full of energy as the internet, it's just a really interesting juxtaposition that it's being eaten alive by something as prehistoric and predatory and ancient as a shark. Okay, on that note, like, do you ever think about what it would actually feel like to have your brain in a computer? Like, imagine trying to have thoughts, like human thoughts, in lines of code. Like, I don't think your thoughts would fit into lines of code. They're like too messy. They're like too abstract. I think like being forced to think in lines of code and numbers would be probably like excruciating. The pain of like having your consciousness inside a computer is probably like incomprehensible. And there's like different levels to consciousness. Like, the one we experience is not the only level of consciousness. There's lower levels and then there's higher levels of consciousness. It's just hard for us to imagine anything but that. So sometimes I try to think about what my level of consciousness was when I was a toddler. Like, I try to remember how that felt. And then when I was a toddler, I had this reoccurring dream of like a past life where I was a flower, and it felt different. It felt like a different consciousness. I remember that being like, oh, that past life where I didn't think like I do now. But on a computer, like, I don't think consciousness would translate. I think it would just be really painful. If you're talking about putting your consciousness not into a computer, but into the internet, that's like a whole different thing. I don't think our consciousness knows how to operate with that expansive world of information. Might just like black out. But to be trapped in a computer forever, whoa. I think the way we upload our minds to the internet now through like videos and text and image and sound is probably more than enough than we ever need to do. Like, I was gonna say, like, we already have extensions of ourselves online, but they're not really extensions of ourselves. They're more like copies that we control. They're like our little clones. That's fun enough. Like, we don't need to enter the internet, like the metaverse. Like, nobody wants the metaverse. Like, Mark Zuckerberg is so stupid that he thinks people want to be in a metaverse. Like, the internet is not a universe in the way Mark Zuckerberg thinks it is. You can't enter it like you can just observe it and then you can control your clone that lives in it. Like that's it. And stop trying to enter it. Stop trying to like rip a hole open. You're not like respecting it. Another future-proof sign in a short term would be like tattoos. I have stick and poke tattoos on my hands, and that's like as future-proof as you can get for your body right now until it decomposes. Like, what else can you do on your body that's as future-proof as that? That's so future-proof. There's not a lot else. Fossils are naturally occurring future-proof signs. They have survived for so long. Have you ever felt a fossil, like a shell or something? Sometimes they had it in like classrooms when I was a kid. Could like feel how old it was. Those are so cool. We need to like figure out how to future-proof the internet. Like at least make it like more future-proof than it is now. We need to like laser every Wikipedia page onto slabs of concrete and like put them in a safe somewhere. The Voyager Golden Record. The Voyager Golden Record. Obviously, that is a future-proof sign. That, if everything goes right, that is a future-proof sign. Because it could survive like 1 billion years. It's just going through interstellar space right now. The Voyager Golden Record, if you don't know, is that it's a golden record and it's on the Voyager space probe, which is currently traveling through interstellar space. There is proof of human life on the record. There's songs and sounds and voice recordings and like 100 pictures of nature and cities and humans and anatomy and babies and old people and art. And it was launched in the 70s by NASA. Such a cool thing. That's like, I think my favorite thing humans have ever done. It's just so like, it feels so desperate in a way because like, chances are like nobody's gonna find that. Like that's the goal, is that someday aliens are gonna kind of miraculously run into that probe and then also miraculously be able to decode it and read it and understand it. There's a lot that has to go right for that probably won't, but it's so hopeful. And it's like, just feels like we were so like proud of ourselves in that moment, that we felt that we deserved to take up space in space. It's really cool. Once again, if you could think of a good way to future-proof a nuclear waste site, go ahead and comment it below and I'll reply and we'll have a little Socratic seminar. I'm excited for that. Bye guys.